In problem number 1, I've got to make sure that this 45 minutes is changed to hours. 45 minutes out of 60 minutes in an hour is the same as 3/4. And they want to know the unit rate per hour, so it would be 340 divided by 3/4. C would be the correct answer. When I go to do number 2, I've got to make sure that I'm comparing the same units. So I'm going to convert everything to feet and everything to hours. So 18 divided by 20 divided by 60 to change my minutes to hours would be the same as 1/3. 18 divided by 1/3. If I keep, change, and flip, would be 54 feet in an hour for part A. In part B, I'd take 90 divided by 2.5. I'd get 36. That's not going to be the fastest, so I'm going to cross that out. 20 yards, I've got to change to feet. To change that to feet, I'd multiply it by 3, since there's 3 feet in a yard. So there's 60 feet divided by 1.5. 60 divided 1.5 is 40 feet per hour. That would eliminate this one as well, because it's not more than 54, which was in part A. Again, these yards to feet, I'd have to multiply by 3. This would be 11 feet. The 15 minutes is the same as 1/4 of an hour, so I'd be dividing this by 4, by 1/4. So this would be 11 times 4, because when I flip it, it's going to be 4 over 1. This would be 44 feet per hour, which is why A is the correct answer, because that would be 54 feet in 1 hour. Number 3, they want the dollars per pound, so I'd take 11.25 and divide it by 1.24. This would give me dollars per pound. 11.25 divided by 1.24 is 9.07, and that would be dollars per pound. When I go to do number 4, I've got to make sure that K stays constant. I find K by doing Y over X. 225 divided by 6 is 37.5. 450 divided by 12 is also 37.5. 750 divided by 18 is 41.7. So it's definitely not A. And since 6, 225, 12, 450 were the same, 37.5, it's not B. I don't need to check the first two in C and D because they're both the same. So I am going to take now 675 and divide it by 20. And when I do 675 divided by 20, it gives me 33.75. It's not C. It's going to have to be D, but let's take a look. 750 divided by 20 gave me the same values that I got up here, 37.5. So I can see that my K stayed constant, which is why D is the correct answer. Number 5, a student spends the same amount each week for bus fare. In 5 weeks, he spends $115. So if he spent $115 over a period of 5 weeks, if if I take 115 and divide it by 5, I'd find out that they were spending $23 each week, which means the equation would be y equals 23x, because remember, this represents my k, that constant rate of change. Draw a line through the points. Why does this line show a proportional relationship? It's not curved. That's valid. It's a vertical line. That's not valid. It connects all the dots. Okay. It goes through the origin. This definitely is the answer. It has to go through the origin. It's not curved. Does not necessarily mean that it's proportional. It connects all the dots. Does not mean that it's necessarily proportional. But when they're talking about a line, it does have to go through that origin. What is the constant of proportionality for this relationship? In other words, what's k? I'd look for any point that I can see clearly goes through a corner on this, and I can see that this definitely goes through the corner of the grid. This is the ordered pair, 8, 28. So I'm going to do 28 divided by 8. 28 divided by 8 is 3.5. So the correct answer for 7 is A. 8, if A is an integer, when is A divided by B always equal to an integer? Well, if I picked an integer like 4, the only time that I can guarantee that this would result in being an integer, in other words, not having a decimal, is if I divided by the same value, if I divided by A, or if I took it and divided it by 1, or a -1. So the correct answer for this is D. B equals 0, I can't divide by 0, couldn't have been an answer. B being less than 1, there's lots of numbers less than 1 that would have given me a fraction, just like lots of numbers greater than 1 that would have given me a fraction. Complete the table. It says 3/4 of a mile in 6 minutes. From 3/4 to 1.5 is actually another 3/4 of a mile. So if this was 1/10, then this would be 2/10. From 1.5 to 2.25 is actually another 3/4 of a mile. If this was 1/10, this is 2/10, which is the same, by the way, as 1/5. This would be 3/10. If a person bikes 2.4 miles in 10 minutes, again, this is a unit rate, and we're figuring out what it's going to be in an hour and a half. So 1.5 hours either needs to be changed to minutes, or minutes need to be changed to hours. 2.4 divided by 1/6 of an hour, because 10 minutes out of 60 minutes is the same as 1/6. 2.4, keep, change division to multiplication, flip. 2.4 times 6 means that they're traveling at 14.4 miles per hour. Then I'd take my 14.4 and multiply it by 1.5. And I'd find out that this person could travel 21.6 miles in the 1 hour and a half. Explain how to simplify the complex fraction. Keep, change, flip. 330 times 4/3. 3 goes into 330 110 times, and I would find out that this was 440. Interpret the meaning of the results. It means that I can read 440 pages in 1 hour. Find K, the constant of proportionality, then write the equation. 160 divided by 25 6.4. 320 divided by 50, 6.4. Notice they told me to find K, so they told me that this was going to be a proportional relationship, so I don't have to continue doing this. If K is equal to 6.4, the equation is y equal to 6.4x. Create a table that shows a proportional relationship. Do not use an integer for the constant of proportionality. So they want K to be some kind of fractional number. So if I let the cost be $3, 3 divided by 6 would be 1/2. So I can see that K is not an integer. And if I went from 6 to 12, this is going to go from 3 to 6. And if I'm using half of 20 is going to be 10. And this is a sample of how you could have done this, because this could have been pretty much anything so long as it wasn't 6, 6, 12, 12, 20, 20. A car traveled at a constant speed of 45 miles per hour. Make a graph to show how the distance traveled in miles is related to the time in hours. So, if I go to 1 hour, 45 miles would be just less than 50. 2 hours, 2 times 45 would be 90. That'd be less than 100. 3 times 45 would be 135. That would be somewhere in here. 4 times 45 is 180. That's probably about here. I'm going to look for one that I know is for sure on this grid, and I know that if I go to 10 times 45, it would be 450. That would be out here. And I should be able to now connect my dots. In number 15, again, you'll notice they gave me a proportional relationship. All I need to do is find one ordered pair that I can clearly see passes through a corner. Since these are going by tens up, this would be 70, this would be 90, this would be the ordered pair 6, 90. To find K, it would be 90 divided by 6, which is 15. What equation shows the line through the data and the points? Y equals 15x. Write an equation for someone saving more money per week. Add a line to the graph for this equation. So if they're saving more money per week, I might want to make it 20x, so long as the number I picked was bigger than the number that was up here. And 20x would be like that on the graph, where I can see in 1 week it goes through 120, 2 weeks it goes through 240, at 3 weeks it goes through 360, and you can see that going up. An object travels 4/5 of a mile in 1/2 of an hour. What is its speed? They want miles per hour. 4/5 divided by 1/2. Keep the 4/5. Change division to multiplication. Multiply by 2 over 1. 8 over 5 miles per hour. Or you could have said 5 goes into 8 once, 1 3/5 mile per